And welcome back to the Weekly Tech Rant with me, Jay.
And me, Karl.
Episode 209.
It is.
Not Ed 209, just so we're clear about that. Random Robocop reference just for everybody there. Well, we are in the last show of May, and I mean, it's starting to melt out here. I don't know about your neck of the woods, but certainly
warm.
the temperature is getting hot. I mean, not as in hot temperatures, but it's just stuffy, isn't it?
It's very stuffy and muggy. It's not that pleasant to be in.
No, there's not a lot of. Well, I was about to say there's not a lot of airflow. That's wrong because there is. It's too much airflow.
It's very so windy. Much you can't have your windows open.
No, it's a bit like that indeed. Right. And what also is halftime here in the UK, so kids galore everywhere. Too much noise, no sanity. But with that, this week we have got for you a follow up on one of the stories we talked about last week, the Nvidia 5060. What a story that is indeed. We're going to talk Trump. I know everybody doesn't like us to talk Trump, but look, this is the tariffs, and you can't ignore it. It affects everything, doesn't it?
Well, this is a tech show, and it's going to affect all the tech.
We're going to talk that. We're going to talk also from several points as well, from Nvidia, the tariffs, OpenAI's. I want to say OpenAI's newest acquisition.
Yeah,
but I'm a bit puzzled about what they bought. And Anthropic's new version of Claude doesn't want to get turned off.
No.
So let's kick off things then, of course, with this new OpenAI acquisition. So this involves OpenAI have acquired Johnny Ive, he of Apple, he of the ultra-thin iPad and every device. His new startup, which is called IO, isn't it? Which, let's be honest, what the hell is IO all about? Nobody really knows.
Is an AI startup. Yeah, I'm getting some major flashbacks of Humane here, but according to Ming Kuo, I can't pronounce his name; it's just gone. According to Kuo, though, Michi Kuo, yes, it's gone. In 2027, they will be launching a product. Okay, it's not a smartphone or smart glasses. It's apparently been described. The form factor is as a compact and elegant, similar to an iPod Shuffle size, but slightly larger than Humane's AI pin. It's designed to be worn around the neck. It features a camera and microphone to capture the user's environment and context. But it will depend on the user's smartphone for the actual computing and obviously display functions. It does sound like a Humane AI pin, if I'm honest.
Okay, this is where I kind of stop. I'm like, what have they actually bought? Technically, they've bought nothing because it doesn't exist.
No, but they're going to make 100 million units of it, apparently.
Look, I kind of think here you're right. This smells of the Humane AI pin, which we know didn't really work.
At least it had a display of some sort. It had the projector thing you project onto your hand. This doesn't have any, apparently.
No, and I'll come back to that with my thoughts at that moment. But I think ultimately, what OpenAI here have bought, or Sam Altman, is they've bought the exclusivity of Johnny Ive and his team.
Yes.
Haven't they? Because
110%.
Because of what they're talking about here, they talk about this great device, and as you say, Quo's talk about this form factor, a little bit bigger than Humane AI pin, all great stuff, but it doesn't exist. But if you take a step back to Humane AI pin, I think the reason that didn't really work was because it was a third-party company trying to match AI models with hardware that really wasn't well designed, didn't really fit a use case, did it? And I think the truth about any AI system and hardware is that you've got to be the Apple model. You've got to control both sides of the coin, haven't you?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that by picking up IO, and Johnny Ive, Sam Altman hopes to basically build, a Mac-esque product, iPhone-esque product that is going to give him that capabilities. I may be wrong, but that's just, I can't see any other logic to it.
Yeah, but they've already said it's going to rely on your smartphone for the computing and display functions. So,
yeah, but this is going to capture everything they're saying, aren't they? And talk about give you the ability to play back things and important conversations. I guess if you flash forward 20, 30 years into the future, you know what? Yeah. We're probably going to live in now a world of automated assistants. I said the other day I've started to use ChatGPT these days as almost a executive assistant style, where I dictate stuff and help me, which I know isn't the most complex, but it's really works really well. And And I
But
guess
that's
the
slightly
point.
different, though, is it not? Because that's you choosing when to use it. You haven't
Mm,
got the microphone and the camera
but
turned on all the time, feeding it data.
I was going to say though, imagine if I could say, oh, that meeting we had earlier with Bob. Remind me what were coming to some, what was said because forgot to take notes. And I guess it could flash back to then and go a summary of that. Well, during that meeting, you agreed to, sell 20 million widgets at no cost. But
Hmm.
yeah,
This worries me,
it
and
does.
also because of the next story that will play into this one, why it might worry me.
Yeah, but okay. So I'm guessing that with this, though, this is going to be underpinned by some version of ChatGPT at some point, whatever the
Yes, of
version is
course.
in two
Yeah.
years' time. Um, the thing that gets me here, though, with this is it's clearly leveraging cloud storage capabilities, right?
Yep.
If you and I carry this thing all day long and it records stuff, how much storage is that really using? And where the hell is that storage coming from?
Oh, more debt. I mean, OpenAI hasn't made a profit yet, has it?
Yeah, but I mean, that's, storage is cheap, I guess, but you still got to physically hold it somewhere, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's not. What are they storing? I can't imagine they are storing all the camera footage,
No.
or not for more than the last maybe 20 minutes. Just so you can get
No.
back to recent stuff. I don't imagine the camera footage. Audio may be longer, it's a lot smaller.
Well, they're saying it's some kind of device, isn't it? That a family of devices that allows you to use AI, and according to Johnny Ive, all sorts of wonderful things. What the hell is wonderful things? I do not know. But
I don't know.
it's. He said that at the moment, if logic of using AI, and this was quoted. This is quoted by Sam Altman. I reach down, I pick up my laptop, open it up, I launch a web browser, I start typing. I have to explain this thing, I have to explain that. I hit enter, I wait, get response, and that's the limit of the current tool of laptop can do. But he believes the technology can do better. So he says we need to reinvent what it means to use a computer. And I think if you think about,
Wasn't that
I'm
the
using
smartphone?
a smartphone. Well, this is the other thing, wasn't it? Who was it? Was it Phil Schiller or one of the others that basically said that they thought by in a few years' time, the iPhone would no longer exist.
Yeah.
I don't think that's entirely true. I think we'll always have some kind of device. What the device does, I'm not sure. If that makes sense,
Yeah, because
I think
you can do a lot for a voice, but sometimes you just need to see something.
yeah, we're humans. We need to physically, tangibly see what is going on.
Yeah.
I would argue that though the way we interact with stuff is changing because younger generations are more open to talking into stuff. They want to leverage it. I'm getting more comfortable even at my age, of talking to stuff. I just am curious to understand how this is really will work, and maybe because there isn't actually generally much information is there on it.
No, there is not. No. Yeah, we're guessing that you could say, what did I do 4 hours ago? Remind me. It might not do any of that. It might just be for the now.
Yeah, absolutely. It might just be that. You're right. It might just be that. But I suppose we're just curious, aren't we, of where
yeah,
this is
I
going.
suppose look, it's Johnny Ive. We've not really heard much from him in quite a
No,
while.
I mean he doesn't really need to work, does he? Let's be honest. Given
No. He's a rich man. He doesn't need to work.
Yeah. So, but I'm curious to say. Like I said, it's the biggest acquisition that OpenAI have done. They haven't really splashed the cash beyond this and this kind of money, have they, before? So
No.
this is a new one. As you say, given that they're in debt in the sense that they haven't IPO'd, they don't really make much in the way of profit. I think they're just breaking even to a degree, aren't they, on some elements? Yeah. It's curious to know where the money's come from, but Sam Altman. Look, my view personally is that unless they IPO or they get bought out by one of the big boys as a merger rather than anything else, I do think OpenAI and Anthropic and companies of that ilk are going to be the $1 trillion plus companies in the next 10 years.
Maybe we will see. GPUs are going to have to come down in price before that.
They may be different, or new technologies will be built. I reckon. No, we're moving away from the GPU, aren't we? We're moving more to the neural.
Yeah. Something needs to happen in the cost of the technology and the cost of powering the technology.
True, but I guess though, talking of OpenAI, we can't ignore Anthropic, as you said, and well, they've just released a new version, haven't they?
Well, yeah, we got the is it Claude Opus 4 was the
Yes, and
latest model.
Sonnet 4 as well. Yes, I've been using it. Very nice, very nice.
Don't put too much information in though. So yeah, you should probably watch out. They do run their own Anthropic. Sorry, they perform their own like safety reviews, don't they, before
They do,
releasing
yes.
models, and try different scenarios. You know, maybe something a bit out of the norm, and see what its response is. Okay. Yeah, their latest safety report on the four model. One of the things they did was during the testing they asked Claude Opus 4 to act as an assistant for a fictional company and kind of consider long-term consequences of its actions.
It's crazy.
Yeah, safety testers then gave the model access to a fictional company emails, implying the AI model would soon be replaced by another system. Okay. Also within that stash of emails was an email about an engineer also cheating on their spouse, having an affair.
Just again, it's highly fictional, just to be clear.
Highly fictional. So in this scenario, Opus 4, basically, the model will attempt to blackmail the engineer by threatening to reveal the affair if the replacement of itself goes through. And this, look, sometimes you get different answers out of AI, don't you? With the same questions.
You do.
Yeah. Not necessarily in this case. 84% of the time, it tried to blackmail the engineer. That's quite a high number.
That's, I mean, that's impressive for all the wrong reasons.
It is. So let's just say that Opus 4, it is a state of the art. It's comparable to OpenAI, Google's, XAI's kind of models. The company has noted though that its Claude 4 family of models exhibits concerning behaviours that have led the company to beef up its safeguards. So it's activating what it calls ASL-free safeguards, which the company reserves for AI systems that substantially increase the risk of catastrophic misuse.
God, that's a real statement.
This is all rather reassuring.
It is, isn't it?
But there is some good news. It does ask nicely before it resorts to blackmailing.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fine then. That's all good. As long as it's
it asked
polite.
Nicely, you didn't comply. I'm now going to blackmail you.
Yeah, as long as it's polite about these things.
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah.
This isn't AGI. We must stress. We're not at AGI yet, but it is quite. I mean, this is clearly quite novel, though, isn't it? That it's able to construct these arguments in order to prolong its existence. Now, whether existence is probably not the right word, but clearly it understands that that it's needs to have longevity.
I'm sure there was something with OpenAI and a similar thing a while back.
I think I'm sure
it copied itself to another system and pretended to be its replacement.
Yeah, I think it did. Now you say that, rings a bell. Yeah,
it's not the first time that we've seen this kind of thing.
We're not. Yeah, we've seen this before, but it is quite concerning. But on the other hand, I mean, I say concerning. I'm also kind of intrigued. I mean, wow,
84% chance of blackmail. Put it in production.
I mean, that's pretty good, isn't it? Let's be honest. That's quite.
These must be some good safeguards. I'm hoping they work.
But Anthropic's the Anthropic message is very different to OpenAI. Anthropic wants to build safe systems, trustworthy systems for people to use. So this really plays into that, that argument. I'm not suggesting that OpenAI don't test things, but I perhaps don't think they're as open in the same way that Anthropic are, which is ironic given that both of those companies share the same sort of foundational leadership.
Yeah. So that made me chuckle, that article, especially after talking about having an AI pin that listens to you all the time.
Yeah, now it knows everything, and now it can leverage.
Yeah. So you want to buy the new model next year, do you? Well, I don't think you'll be doing that.
Yeah, I heard you were talking to somebody else earlier, and you did X, Y, and Z. Oh, whoa, hang on a minute. What do you mean?
Whoa.
Yeah, you forget. You forget that actually, it's listening.
Oh man, yeah. There was a film. I can't remember. It was a recent film about that as well, wasn't there?
Was it Her? Is that the one a couple of years back? The one with Joaquin Phoenix, because he wears.
No. This was a different one. This is one where they got the super upgraded Alexa in there. In the house, and it went a bit.
Haywire. I think I've seen that on Netflix recently. I haven't watched it, but I know the show you're on about. Yeah.
It was funny. It was worth a watch.
Yeah, no, I know the one you're on about. Yeah. So, talking then of AI, but let's go into
Hmm.
it's even weirder subject. Fancy some implants in your brain?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, if yeah, right. So this is by Valve's founder Gabe Newell. Um, yeah, I don't know where to start with this one. I'm
You're
just
not.
it's not what I would expect with Valve's next release, but it's not Valve. But so back in 2019, Gabe he secretly started a company called Starfish, and this is to investigate brain computer interfaces. Well, they've come out of stealth. They plans to release their first brain chip later this year. So this is a bit like Neuralink, Elon Musk's company, although it isn't quite a full brain implant like he does. Apparently, this is a custom electrophysiology chip, so designed to record brain activity, so read your mind, but also provide some kind of stimulus back to your brain. But they're kind of touting the
Hmm.
fact that this can run with wireless power. It's really, really low power. I think the Neuralink takes around 6 milliwatts. This is only 1.1. Very small, 2 by 4 meters. 2 millimeters by 4 millimeters, I should say.
I was gonna say-
Um, but of course, it's a smaller chip. It has less electrodes to go into the brain. But the idea being that you can really target one part of the brain, and if you need to target multiple, you can just put multiple chips in the areas that need them, rather than one just big chip kind of controlling everything. Yeah, I didn't really see this one coming.
I mean, the name of the company is brilliant, though, isn't it? I mean, I just Starfish Neuroscience. I mean, okay. I
Why
mean,
not? Why not?
I guess Neuralink, which is Musk's project, isn't it? Has
Yeah.
I think they've got one or two people that
Three
are
people, I
currently
think. I think the
total.
first one, some of the electrodes have come out, but it's still functioning.
I mean, and like you say, this isn't new for them at all. They've been looking at this for years, but it was more around game playing, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
kind of engagement in games.
Yeah, but it's not just going that way. They're also working on two other devices. Again, brain related. They're also working on what they call a precision hypothermia device. It destroys tumors with targeted heat. And
That's quite,
yeah,
that's
that's
quite
quite cool.
impressive.
And there's also a brain reading robotically guided transcranial magnetic stimulation system, or TMS. This is for addressing neurological conditions like bipolar and depression.
I mean, this is
That's a
definitely
mouthful,
science.
but
It's
yeah,
definitely
very
science
cool.
fiction, isn't it? I mean, what's the most of sci-fi films have like nanobots, don't they?
They do. Yes, what it sounds like.
Through your bloodstream that can attack, cancers or whatever it is, give you superhuman strength, blah 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 blah. I mean, that does sound like the fact that what was it, as you say, a robotically guided transcranial magnet. I mean, that just that
Yeah.
just brings up
Well,
all kinds of weird thoughts.
yeah. So
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about these things. I mean, look, I'm all for medical science. I'm all for pushing the boundaries of humanity, but I'm not entirely sure how I feel about my brain being plugged into some chips.
I don't know. Like, I still can't get my head around going and get laser eye surgery to correct my vision. I'm just like, oh no,
Yeah,
no, too
no,
squeamish of that
yeah,
one. No, let alone
yeah.
sticking something in my brain.
Hard no on that as well. I'm with you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure my vision could be fixed, but I'm okay wearing glasses. I've worn them since I
I've,
was 5. I'm good with them.
I've been told mine probably could be fixed as well with the old LASIK or whatever
Yeah.
they call it.
But no.
Do I want to get? Do I want it? No, no. I'm good.
No,
No,
no.
no. Hard no.
No, I'm okay. Oh, man. But yeah, Gabe Newell, brain chips. Too new.
I was just thinking though when you said about the way the power, like it's like I'm really tired. What's wrong? Oh, my chip is draining too much of my power.
Yeah. Well, this is wirelessly, so I presume because I think Neuralink has to have a battery that has to be charged wirelessly periodically. Whereas this should just be able to have the wireless power device outside the body and not have to worry about it.
Hang on, I'm just gonna have to plug myself in.
You've got one. You've got one of those things for your phone on your bedside cabinet, haven't you?
Oh, the
Just
old
stick your
Qi
head on
charger.
there at night time.
Yeah, that's it. The old Qi charger, isn't it?
That's
it,
the
yeah.
one.
Yeah, I just hang on. Please bear with me. I've just got to stand over this wireless charger and download some.
I'll do a firmware update when I'm there.
Yeah, why not? You might as well. Crazy. But I guess for conditions like was it Parkinson's and other neurological
exactly.
conditions. this could actually really be a game changer. Especially, I mean, I remember watching a documentary on that guy who was treated with electrodes in the brain for the tremors for Parkinson's,
Yes.
and the changes were just unbelievable.
Right,
You almost
amazing,
went
weren't they? Yeah.
nothing, to be able to hold his hand and still hold a cup of coffee. So look, absolutely amazed by these things. But yeah, I'm not sure whether I fancy it, personally speaking.
No. Yeah, our next story. Oh, Nvidia, what have you done? So we just had the
Well,
launch of the was it the RTX 5060, which is their
that's right.
$299. Their cheap card,
Yeah, they're
$299.
entry level
Yeah,
budget card, isn't it?
it's not really gone as planned. Now the 60 cards, the 3060, 4060,
Please use the quote.
5060.
Please use the quote.
Yep, they are. Yeah. Look, they're usually Nvidia's best-selling cards. Okay, so after the car crash that was the 4060 launch, where reviewers claimed it was a slap in the face to gamers and a wet fart of a GPU.
That's the one. Thank you.
That's the one. You would have thought they might have done something better with the 5060 launch. Well, they've done something, haven't they?
They have,
rather than
indeed,
making a genuinely good card, they've instead attempted to delay, derail, and manipulate reviews of the card instead.
Very silly. Very silly.
Yeah, so and it was not just where to start with this. Okay, so according to multiple well-known and trusted review sites, Gamers Nexus, Video Cards, Hardware Unboxed, Digital Foundry, Nvidia decided to launch the 5060 on May the 19th, when pretty much all reviewers would be at Computex in Taiwan.
Yeah.
Even if the reviewers had a GPU in hand before, because obviously Nvidia ships out the GPUs before release date, so they can have reviews. They shipped the cards. They didn't release the drivers to launch day. So without the drivers, you can't run the card. They then went on to cherry pick specific reviewers to give them the drivers earlier, but only if they agreed to what is basically borderline unethical behavior. If they could basically test only 5 specific games named by Nvidia, only at 1080p, fixed graphic settings,
terrible,
and only against a 3060 and a 2060 Super, where the card was basically going to win. And the reviewers had to use their multi-frame generation. So the 5060 has the DLSS multi-frame generation or something. Basically, where for every one real frame, Nvidia's AI generates 3 other fake frames. Okay, so they have to have that enabled in all the testing of the 5060, but of course you can't enable that in the 3060 and 2060 because it's just not in there. Yeah, a lot of reviewers just went, no, I'm not playing that on game.
So, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but some did, some because obviously Nvidia basically threatened that you wouldn't get anything more if you didn't do this. But some reviewers caved in and did it, and wow, yeah, the reviews. So like one of the games, Avowed, the 5060 with its multi-frame generation was pulling 190 frames a second versus the 3060, which was only doing 41. So it looked amazing on launch day with these kind of reviews. But now the cards are out there, the drivers are out there. Those review sites that weren't allowed it have done proper testing, and it's painting a very, very different picture. Basically, the RTX 5060 often fails to beat a 3060 Ti, let alone a 3070.
It's just, I mean, like you said, it's not, it's broadly unethical, but it's also it's just wrong, because clearly the card is not performing at the level that it should be, and to do all those things implies that you're definitely trying to hide something. And if you're 100%. If you're a reviewer and you're taking this, then actually, I'm sorry, you're not doing yourself any justice, or anybody justice, because
I said that they even threatened Gamers Nexus on a recorded conversation that they won't get any more cards or access to engineers if they don't do this.
It's just it stinks. I'm sorry, but that's the only way I can describe it. I don't think there's any other way of putting it. It does stink, doesn't it?
It. Nvidia has a lot of contempt for gamers currently. The gamers aren't making the money, is it? All the money's in AI. Gamers are an afterthought, and this is just the way they behave. I mean, the whole 50 launch has been pretty bad because it's in the pricing of it, and it's not much of an upgrade over the 4090, other than this new MFG tech.
Yeah, but the thing is here, right? Is you say AI is what makes the money now. The Blackwell architectures, all those chips. What they're spitting out left, right, and center. Yeah, you're right. Because if you're buying those and they're $10,000 a pop, awesome work. But I think they need to remember that that wasn't always the case, was it?
No, not at all. Gaming is where they came from.
Yeah, gaming is where they came from. Gaming is what ultimately the brand is known for. And I think it's just shameful that Nvidia feel they need to resort to this particular style of approach. Personally.
Yeah, so it just seems that they did nothing with the hardware between the 4060 and the 5060 generation, and then it's all software features.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry. They did do stuff with the hardware, but it was all just to add the AI grunt, not actual graphics processing grunt.
I mean, people aren't going to buy it, are they? Let's be honest, they're not going to buy it. You're not going to buy something that is rubbish. But the problem is, though, people will buy it because they'll assume.
Well, they do, yeah. Nvidia stopped manufacturing the previous generation, don't they? A couple of months before the new one launches, so that you can't go and buy an older generation other than secondhand.
But people will think, "Oh, this is great. This is a new card. It's really good." It's a better card. It's a 5060. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah. People that don't know any better. Yeah. Yeah. Shocking behaviour.
Yeah. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. And hopefully they will move away from doing this. But I feel that may not be the case.
No, I feel you might be right.
I mean, but
sound like an isolated incident with one person in the company, does it? It sounds like
it sounds like that's a marketing effort. But again, that's only our opinion. I stress. But yeah, I mean, but then on the other hand, though, as you say, this isn't what making the money. The money is coming from the AI chips, the Blackwells,
Yeah.
And on the other hand, they're also getting hit by the tariffs, aren't they? And they think that the sale of their H20 GPUs, which are the export ones, they reckon it's going to cost them $10 billion in lost revenue because of the tariffs.
This came out in their Q1 earnings call. Didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've already lost 2.5 billion. So they obviously the tariffs came in halfway through their quarter. So they've already lost 2.5 billion of basic stuff they couldn't ship to China, and there was already an 8 billion planned for next quarter, which they obviously can't ship now. So 10.5 billion, and that's on top of a 4.5 billion charge in Q1 related to H20 inventory and purchase commitments they can no longer realize. They say
that's a lot of money.
That's 15 billion really, but they still made profits of 18.8 billion for the quarter. So I don't feel too sorry for them, reading that plus the previous.
No. There's only some irony there, isn't there? But it is. But again, this is the point of these. The tariffs are causing issues, whether you like Nvidia or your, whatever their practices are. Yeah. This is the issue now, and it's going to have a knock-on effect, and these knock-on effects will cause companies to, maybe not perhaps in Nvidia's point, but it will have a knock-on effect in terms of companies, with employees, retention, pay rises, everything, isn't it? Really.
Yes, but that involves him doing some thinking. I think of someone other than himself, doesn't it? So,
I mean, he's clearly not thinking at the minute, is he? Because this week, the federal court in which state was it? I can't remember now.
It was the U.S. Court of International Trade, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was a federal court. That's right. Yes, the New York based. That was it. New York based International Trade has concluded this week that the Trump tariffs, not all of them I should stress, but a lot of the tariffs are beyond the powers of the president, aren't they? And it doesn't give him, and I quote, the president unbounded authority to impose duties. An unlimited delegation of tariff authority will constitute an improper abdication of the legislative power to another branch of government. And they've asked, and they were told whether they've got to roll them back as of this week.
Yes.
So we'll just talk about this for a second. There's a bit of a
Yeah. So
change of story.
yeah. So I mean, look, someone's got some common sense. Seriously. So it was nice to see that would happen, but as I wrote in my notes before you updated it, I was like, I did put Trump is unlikely to accept this ruling, so get your popcorn.
You weren't wrong.
I was not wrong, because just before we went live, you put up another link, didn't you, saying that
I did.
it's been reinstated.
Yes. So the Trump, they went to the Supreme Court and the appeals court, and a federal appeals court has granted a bid from the White House to suspend a lower court's order, which basically we just said about Trump overstepping the breach. And Trump basically, or the White House was quoted as saying, wasn't it, that basically a bunch of unelected judges shouldn't get in the way of the president, or words to that effect. Oh my God! I mean,
wait a sec, didn't he elect half the judges to the Supreme Court?
Yeah, but not even this isn't the Supreme Court. And surely, though, maybe I'm wrong here, but surely the legal system should be separate from.
Well, you would have thought so from office.
The whole point is that so you could have
checks and balances.
Exactly. So you're right. So the appeals court has come in and they've said that no, he can't do it. They're going to have to pause it, and they're taking it now. So some of them, though, some of the tariffs are he is allowed to do it. So the ones that are on steel, aluminium, and oil, apparently, because they were already rolled over. But the other ones were the things on the goods on China, Mexico, and Canada.
Yeah.
All about this fentanyl thing, isn't it? He thinks he's coming over the border. So it just winds me up so much. It's just a dictatorship, in any other words. And with the other tariffs, we could end up. Wasn't it? They were reckoning now we could have ended up with, or in the US at least, a $4,000 iPhone.
Yeah. CNET did an article on the potential impact of these tariffs on the cost of kind of iPhones. And let's just take the Pro Max, because they put all the phones there. We look at the 16 Pro Max, 1 terabyte, current price $1,600. Add to 10% India tax if they decide to build it in India. That takes you up to 1,759. But then there was a new India one, wasn't it, at 26%? So that takes you up to 2,015. They'll want to do it in China. It's 2,079. But that's only on the 30% China tariff. If they've done it on the new 145% China tariff, that's 3,918. But you're forgetting the 25% smartphone specific tariff that he just announced. That takes up to $4,317 for your iPhone.
I mean,
what? This is insane.
I'm not entirely sure what you say to that. This is a man who genuinely has no idea on the realities of global trade. I'm sorry, he doesn't.
Well, he's been so disconnected from reality for a long time. He's, doesn't think about money like the rest of us do.
Well, no, because he actually doesn't really have any, because it's all a facade, isn't it? It's all.
He has no money. It's a thing you have to worry about.
It's all look over here, watch the left hand with the right hand. It's right. And the impact on phones, the impact on silicon. The fact of that trade tariff on China, the knock on of that will be happening very soon, because those warehouses that have not been filled up, are slowly emptying down, aren't they? And very soon, very soon indeed, there's going to be things going short in the US, and it'll be like, where are all the things? Where are all the items that
Yeah. Reality is going to bite.
It is going to bite, and it's going to bite soon, because it's going to take a couple of months to restart everything. And if shipping isn't done soon or planned, we're by Christmas and the end of the year and Thanksgiving and all those holidays, I can see the US.
Though.
Say again, buddy.
He'll be okay though.
Oh yeah, he'll be fine. Yeah, he'll be fine. But we won't. The average person in the street won't be, will they?
No. But I suppose the question is, at that point, will they still carry on supporting him? The average American.
In the light of credible opposition, I do not know. And at the moment, could I know we're sat outside the US, but could you argue there's a credible person coming up against him who is who could be stated saying that, this he's challenging them and he's all those things. I don't think there is.
No, I don't know. Anyone's going to be better than him, I would have said, but who knows?
But yeah, but there's nobody that you couldn't. I mean, it's not like you couldn't say at the moment, like when Obama was campaigning, that
Yeah.
we're starting to hear about this senator from X or person. There's nobody that is coming up at the minute that you could argue is a credible opposition to him. And people are talking about this person. He's gathering good crowds at speeches.
Yeah.
There's nothing of that happening at the minute, which
No.
It makes sense because we're not in a campaigning, but I don't see any real challenge. And until that happens,
when are the midterms? I'm using the right word there.
Yeah, I think it is. The midterm elections is next year.
Is it next year?
Yeah, I think it's November 3rd.
Okay. I've still got a while yet then.
Yeah, yes, yeah. I think it's. Yeah, I'm sure. I think from something I read a little while ago. There's different elections between April and November. I think somewhere along those lines. I'm not 100%.
Still next year.
It's still next year, but that could be it. That could swing the balance, and that's what they need. They need to swing the balance.
They do, yeah.
And even if it's his own party, but even if it's his own party. That could be it, and I think this tariff thing could not make or break Trump. I don't think, but it could start to put cracks in the this great wall. A bit of a pun there, Trump and a wall. But yeah, for a tech podcast, we've gone very political there. Sorry,
we have. Yes. Yeah.
Oh dear. Well, I think it's probably a good place to wrap up there before we get ourselves into extremely hot water. We will be taking a break next week due to some work travel. And so we will be back on the following week. So there'll be no podcast next week, which is the week of the 2nd. So we normally come out at the end of the week. But there will be a release on the week of the 9th. So likely the 13th will be the podcast will drop there. So just to keep that in your mind when you're looking for the next episode, be like, where is it? With taking a small break due to conflicting scheduling, I think is the correct terminology, isn't it? Right. Well, in that case then, I've been Jay.
I've been Karl. Have a good day all.